Welcome back to this Indianomics special on the budget's employment and skilling schemes. I have been speaking with Sangeeta Reddy of Apollo, Richard Lobu, the HR officer of TechM, Ravi Kairan, the chief HR officer of Bajaj Auto, and Amit Basoli, specialist in employment economics from the Azim Premji University. Gentlemen and Sangeeta, thank you very much for your patience and for staying on. Ravi, you began with the CSR scheme as well. Of the manufacturing scheme and the CSR scheme, which do you think will both work from, say, a Bajaj Auto point of view?
See, from our point of view, I think skilling is very, very important because today, and just step back a little bit, at the end of the day, more than paucity of education today in the country, we do have paucity of skilling. People finish their education, whatever it is, it could be ITA, diploma, engineering, but when they hit the workforce, they are not really equipped to take on the challenges that the workforce is putting in front of them. So companies are having to put in a lot of time, money, and effort in skilling them and getting them industry ready, which is why primarily our funds in the last 3-4 years, Bajaj Auto has sharply focused on skilling as an area where we will deploy our CSR funds up to 80-85% of our budget is primarily aimed towards bringing in skilling. We have these flagship program called BEST, which is Bajaj Engineering Skills Training Program. We have Bajaj Manufacturing Skills Training Program. We are going and targeting ITIs across the globe. We are targeting diploma trainees across the globe, giving them the skills that they need when they hit the manufacturing sector to be able to actually start contributing from day one. So to me, this is a very, very important area. If this country has to continue to be growing economically, we need to have skilled workforce, not just educated workforce. We need to have skilled workforce hitting the formal employment sector. So therefore, for me, I think this scheme is actually a very good scheme. If companies like us, when we are already deploying our CSR funds for skilling, if we are able to formally give them training along with that, both in our suppliers, in our own company, and in our dealership, then you're actually going to bring in into the workforce people who are skilled, A, B, who are also trained. So trained and skilled manpower is actually, I would say, the foundation on which the future of manufacturing could be built on. So overall, I think this scheme is actually hitting the right vectors. Though again, as always, detail-oriented organization that we are, I do worry about some of the exclusions that are already put in place. I hope these things are thought through. Already we are saying exclude people whose family has got IT returns, etc., etc. I think these things are actually going to make it exclusive. We should make it more inclusive.
Oh, I thought they only include the families of the promoters. Even IT returns would be a bit
candidates
too much.
cannot have anybody in their family with IT returns. These are things which actually makes it very onerous to implement. A. B, you end up actually excluding a lot of workforce, right? So I think these, I hope when they are...
my hope would be that all of you will write to the government. They are actively listening in on this, and it might work, if you're proactively helped. By the way, they're also increasing upgrading 1,000 ITIs. So perhaps that would be another very good step. But, if you can give me some numbers, Richard. I'm asking you all again and again because you all have been the biggest employers. Before 1991, we had movies like Mere Apne, educated unemployed movies. After that, we stopped having those kinds of movies because IT came and employed so many people. That's why I'm asking you, will it move the needle? Can we expect that, if not this year itself, next year we can actually see an increase in the number of employed?
No, Lata, I think that's a good question, and that is something which we all want happening. I think the IT industry as a whole contributed tremendously to increasing the number of people who are employed. And I agree with you that before the industry came, getting jobs and getting jobs which are remunerative was difficult. Like you said in your earlier question, I think there's an economic angle to it also. The industry won't just employ because the scheme is there. I think there is also a definite connection with how the economy goes and how the demand situation goes. But what this will do is it will train a lot of people. It will allow people to be available for other industries. Like Geeta said, that somebody trained in a particular technology could be used in healthcare because there's a convergence of technology happening. So this will definitely spurge, even without a direct employment, that I'm sure 100% will happen, seeing the kind of nature of growth which all of us are expecting over the next few years. But I think more than that, it will help a skilled workforce. If people work in the best of the companies, and they've clearly said the top few companies, they will definitely get benefits, which will be a huge boost to what they have already done through the education system. And I think many industries could take advantage of the skilling which is going to happen. And I think that is the bigger thing which we have to view. And I definitely hope, and like you have said, that the IT industry will definitely see an increase in employment over the next few years. And that's something which we are hoping for. But even without that, I think it will contribute a lot towards skill building, which other industries can definitely use people who are skilled in technology.
No, I mean, you straight away, if they are going to pick up 3,000 rupees of the EPFO money, which is under Scheme C, for all employees, new employees under 1 lakh, I think it will be some transfer of funds into high employing companies like IT companies. Of course, we will have to see whether the family has an IT payer. That may be an exclusion.
I think those suggestions seriously. I think some of those things will definitely. I think the government will take those things seriously.
Okay, we'll take it seriously. If you all give those suggestions, I think that will be a big help. Amit, what's your sense? Are we, you guys at Azim Premji brought a lot of focus to this lack of formalization of employment. The PLFS, Periodic Labour Force Survey, was clearly showing more people are employed, but the quality was questionable. What is the sense? 2 years from now, if you do that survey, are you getting a hope that there will be more formal employees?
Well, certainly that is the hope. I should say that, generally we tend to think of it as growth leading to formalization and not the other way around. I don't think, we're not big believers in sort of just saying.
No, but growth tended to be K-shaped, isn't it? We were all complaining about it.
Right. So which, brings me back to the point of, which is the sector that really needs the help now, whether it is even if it is of finding workers kind of help, right? So this apprenticeship thing is a great idea in principle. But if you're targeting only the large companies and you're relying on CSR funds, then you're limited in how much you can absorb. And already people have done the numbers and said that you can't expect these small number of firms to really absorb as many interns as you've set the target for. So I don't think that's a very good.
Yeah, I know, some 20,000 per company or something,
Exactly.
which is not possible.
So unlikely that is going to happen. But on the other hand, we do know that if you were to facilitate the match between workers and employers, and again subsidize maybe that apprenticeship period, you give a toehold to young people in the labor force or in employment, that probably helps. I think that everybody would agree with that. The question is, which are the employers and which are the workers that need this kind of help? And once again, I would go back to local firms and smaller firms.
Yep.
That's where the constraints are. The resources needed to find good workers, to retain them, to take the risk on new workers. They may leave and go. All of these are problems that smaller employers suffer from a lot more. They just don't have that much capacity to absorb these risks. So this scheme, again, I would think of it as a 1.0 version. Like a 2.0 version would probably think through some of these things and see how to expand it beyond.
A fair point. I would invite and request all corporates to write to the government and ensure that the scheme is as friendly as possible and doesn't begin with the suspicion that all companies will only try to reduce their HR budget a bit for 2 years when the going is good and, not really increase it. I hope they don't start with that suspicion of corporate India per se, but see them as collaborators. And of course, on the other hand, employers also use it as a way to formalize more employees who were hitherto informal. Ultimately, this is running only for 2 years. So if you're taking on a full-length employer with EPFO and other benefits, then you will have to see economic growth, as all of you point out. So there is no running away from the fact that it has to be growth-oriented. We will have more discussions as you guys see the rules and come with, more requirements as well as, what success has this can achieve. Thank you very much, Sangeeta, Ravi, Richard, and Amit, for kicking off what is a very important discussion. According to me, this is one of the best parts of this year's budget. Thank you very much for watching this edition of Internships.